Hi, everyone. So we're back. This is Yvette Anderson, the most amazing, inspiring, beautiful human being that is sharing so much amazing information with us. So thank you, Yvette, for just your heart and your willingness to and generosity to really inform us and inspire us and help us. So now we're going to speak about. You're going to tell us more, but it's about, just from my perspective to say, I suppose my whole life I have been aware that of my gut, of my stomach, and just feeling a sense of discomfort with it through varying degrees. And even as a child, feeling, something isn't quite right here, or just taking my emotions probably into it a lot as well. And at this time, I've done a few programs with connecting the heart with the brain. But really, this for me is so important, this program. It's part of why I was guided to do this program. I feel so strongly that it's now time to actually link into the other brain, which is our primal brain, the gut. And it's, for me, it almost completes the three. And I think you are going to talk about three, but it's just coming to me, the heart, the brain, and then the gut brain. So I'm really excited to do this part of it for me personally, but also to help others to connect with it. And even those who've done some of my other programs where we work very much with or connected with the heart and the brain and bringing that into balance. But to add this almost third step now of connecting in the gut brain and finding this beautiful harmony. So I'm really excited about this. Thank you, for sharing information and helping us to do this, and you're doing it as well. And it's all over to you. So
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's really good to be sharing plants with a big group of people, and to to share all of our different experiences and just our different levels of knowledge. And so I'm very happy to be here to bring my experiences to the table. And the gut-brain connection, it is luckily something that there has been a lot of emphasis on it. So people now understand that our microbiome in our gut actually determines how we feel and think. And it determines so much of how we experience the world that we live in. But I still feel that people don't often close the system for us really, really well. And when I dive into the subject matter, one of the main things that I notice is between the gut and the brain, it's the subtle of how we turn energy into matter and matter into energy. So when we talk about that direct manifestation, this is actually where it happens. And so how our brain and our thinking patterns sits in our central nervous system, and it's often in our limbic brain. And our limbic brain is where we also feel all of our emotions, and it's directly connected to our enteric nervous system, which is in our gut. And it's connected through the vagus nerve. And so this is all things that we have known a little bit about, but to actually see how profoundly it changes how we feel in our bodies and how we feel in our environment, and how we feel, as a sense of unity on this planet. And it can definitely influence our consciousness to great levels. And so what I'd like to talk about is how plants can help us in every step of that exchange between thinking, feeling, and then the activity of actually digestion and elimination, and how we can actually connect all of those. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to start chatting about it.
This is fabulous. I love it. Wow. Let's change ourselves in the world. There we go. It's happening.
And so I think if you look at it through an Ayurvedic frame of mind, we will see that our thought patterns can be very unbalanced. Unbalanced in terms of it can be too windy, so we can actually have thought patterns that is very repetitive, and you know, when you go to sleep and your thoughts are running away with you so much that you cannot actually sleep. It can be unbalanced in terms of fire, so that we are extremely demanding and very critical. And it can be unbalanced in terms of earth, when we are resigned to our lot, or we have go into this can't do attitude. And so all of these very unbalanced thought patterns is influencing our gut biome. So it actually selects certain microbes that will support the thought patterns. And so plus, if we if our unbalanced thought patterns send us into a lot of stress responses, the increase in cortisol in our bloodstream, so our thought patterns influence how much adrenaline is actually excreted, and high levels of adrenaline for sustained periods of time can bring us a cortisol toxicity. And this cortisol toxicity actually changes our gut biome. And so we select what microbes are actually in our gut through our thought patterns and through how much stress we have in our lives. And so that's the first place that plants, for me, play an extremely important role. And it's in this like nerve relaxants, so that we can actually bring our cortisol levels down, so that we can get out of that fight or flight mode and into a calmer mode, so that we can digest our food properly, and we can actually function quieter. We can quiet our mind. We can be in a more meditative state throughout our day. And that state will allow us to be in our hearts a lot more. It is very difficult to be in your heart, as you've seen with those exercises, when your mind is extremely busy. And since we are on this Artemisia immersion, it's incredible to see that Artemisias can actually change our nerves, like the physical composition of our nerve connections. And so Artemisias can help you to chart new nerve territory. You know, it can help you to literally get out of some thinking ruts, and to lay down new neural thinking pathways.
How exciting is that?
Yeah, so that's if you want to look at the gut from the top down, and seeing how our unbalanced thinking patterns can affect the gut. And you know, and so Artemisia, since it works on all levels of our body, it can also really affect our hormones. It can bring in a tremendous amount of hormone balancing. And we know that our endocrine system, that system of communication that runs through our whole body, is sending messages to absolutely everywhere, to all of our DNA, to all of our cells. And if we can change the messages that those cells are actually receiving, then you can start preparing your physical body to be in line with the, how can I say, with the evolution of your mind, and also with the evolution of your energy. And so that is how you like really start bringing your own consciousness into your cells, is by working through this mind digestion gut connection. And it is so beautiful to start working with this type of manifestation, where you say, I want my endocrine system to carry a completely different set of messages to all of my functions and all of my cells. And with the use of Artemisia, you can actually start imprinting those messages into your endocrine system. So that is if we look at only of our cerebral central nervous system level of thinking, when we go into our gut itself, and that is your enteric nervous system, has 200 to 600 million nerve endings in your gut. So all of your feelings, all of your emotions, like you just said, you know, if your gut is not doing well, that you know that it is emotionally connected. You know, so are you running emotions of anxiety, of irritability, of fatigue? Like how do you feel in the world, and is that unbalanced or not? So it is a bit different than your thinking, and your thinking and your feeling are of course going to inform each other all the time, but there are quite different systems. There are two very separate nervous systems. The enteric nervous system will function even if you cut the vagus nerve and you have no connection to your brain. Your food will still get digested, and your emotions, you know, you will still feel your emotions. You will so these two are actually very different nerve systems, but with very different results. And yeah, so we have to understand that the thinking, feeling, so they inform each other, but they both inform what microbes is going to survive in our microbiome. Yes. So in this system, the microbiome, I almost keep a little bit separately, because it is not a nervous system. It is a system of complete separate consciousness almost, you know, because it's 100 trillion little microbes, fungus and bacteria, and that's sitting in mucosal membranes of your digestive system. And it's almost like it's a completely different ecosystem down there, a completely different world. It blows my mind every time I think about it. Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
And in that realm of the microbiome, that is a very interesting realm to see how Artemisia start informing the microbiome, and how it starts selecting the composition of your microbes in your gut. And also it selects the secretion of the microbes in your gut. So if you then look at the bottoms up movement, you know, so you think about what does the biome actually determine in your body, and you're like, absolutely everything. It actually determines your thoughts. So the two really inform each other, because the microbiome, yeah, there's all this, you know, it creates our serotonin and dopamine levels, you know, so that directly influences how you feel and think. And it has massive immune system and effects if your biome is not functioning correctly, and so your metabolism is also really affected by it. So in your biome and the diversity of your biome, but not just the diversity, it's actually more the environment that you create in your microbiome, and how little you interfere with it, that will determine the health of the biome, and that will then directly determine how you will digest your food, how you will actually absorb your food, and how you will eliminate. So when we think about the gut, we eliminate, of course, not just from your colon and from your gut, but also from your liver and your kidneys. You know, they're so integrally, and your gallbladder, very integrally related to your gut. You almost cannot talk about your gut without, you know. And so again, to bring the Artemisias in, the Artemisia detoxify actually eliminates bile from your bile ducts. It helps you to metabolize the fatty acids in your liver, and it helps you to actually detoxify your kidneys, and
amazing.
And so they're just marvelous for working on the digestion, the absorption, and the elimination functions of your gut, and through a healthy microbiome system. So you cannot really think about your thinking, your feeling, or your biomes separately. They are constantly informing each other. So yeah, if you have a hard time meditating, it can actually be coming from your microbiome.
You know? Exactly. So, it's absolutely mind-boggling. But you know, knowledge is power. And as you say, it's like these different subjects we're aware of, but it's about really paying attention to it and bringing it in this whole, for me, the word comes up almost like whole system, you know, that we can get everything to work together. We've had this fragmented knowledge of, yes, the gut has got this, yes, it affects this, whatever, but it's almost like we haven't fully integrated or seen the bigger picture, and we're bringing it all together so that we can really create complete health and complete bodies, whole bodies. But I mean, just listening to you about the Artemisias, I just think, you know, we should be taking Artemisia every day. It's almost like not just it certainly is there to correct stuff, but even to prevent. Hey, what would you say? Is there,
absolutely.
Why are we not doing it? Why, you know, why do we hardly even know about Artemisia? I mean, not to say that there are so many different herbs and plants and stuff, but, you know, this feels like such a, it's a very almost basic thing for every person on this planet to know or to have.
Yeah, I think so. Well, let's talk about some of the precautions of Artemisia. The reason why whole plant medicine is often not used in our healing systems is because the qualities of the plant differ very much depending on where it was grown and how it was harvested and how it was dried. So there's no standardizing of the Artemisias, and the soil, the diversity of soil microbes. Like, let's take this microbes thing a little bit further. The diversity of soil microbes will actually determine the diversity of the botanical compounds in the plant. So the higher the soil microbes, the more the plant will actually have, like, I mean, I cannot tell you the hundreds of thousands of botanical compounds just that is released when you're actually breaking the leaf of a plant. So, you know, the compounds that go into forming essential oils and volatile chemicals, and Artemisia is very high in alkaloids, and so the plant cannot actually form all of these compounds when it doesn't have a good soil diversity. So the diversity of microorganisms in the soil is as important as it is in our gut. And so, so if you have good soil diversity, you're going to have a lot of different compounds than somebody growing a plant that doesn't have good soil diversity. So it is difficult to standardize and to say these effects will happen at these levels, and you know, yeah. So it is something that requires intuition. It requires a relationship with the plant to really know when it is enough for you and when it is right for you. And then
so just to ask, so would it be, I suppose in a way it's always, you know, this thing about almost like having your own Artemisia that's growing in your environment, hey, would probably be the best idea.
Yeah,
would you say
definitely.
that's true? Yeah, or that's a good idea.
Yeah, because the plant gets to know you, and it gets to prepare things just for you, and it is yeah, and that's why we said before that your intentions before you pick the plant is actually so, it's so important, because the plants actually start preparing for you. It is that generous. We don't even understand the levels of generosity of plants.
Yeah, I love that. That's really opened a kind of a window for me, you know, to see it from a bigger perspective. But what just comes to mind, you know, is even like this thing about, as you will know, is to walk bare feet outside in your garden, and how different plants will actually grow. The earth will actually, you know, things will start to grow. It takes a reading as to what's missing in our bodies. And then, you know, so I have different plants naturally growing in my garden to my neighbor, because, and it's very important to walk bare feet, because the earth almost takes a reading of the body as to what is out of balance, because everything is so in balance in nature that if, you know, we go into it, it naturally looks to balance everything, and it will also, and so there's this whole kind of thing also of the bodies connecting and being able to receive from the environment that we, you know, our immediate environment providing for us, and getting away from, so this kind of self-sustaining type of thing of growing our own stuff. I'm not a great grower. I mean, a good grower. I've tried a bit, but, you know, some people are better than others. But anyway, we all can do it in some way, you know, set the intention. But this whole thing about local is good, you know, it's actually it's not just an idea, it's a physical reality.
Yeah.
That we can create it, and the earth is so abundant to help us to create it. You know, what's specifically right for us as an individual.
Yeah, definitely.
Something like that.
And definitely, and then to be in your heart when you actually are communing with a plant, when you're in your heart and you are in self-honesty, and like you say, bare at your feet, and just bare in your person, you know, and just connecting through your heart space. And yeah, so that is a really, really good thing. And you know, just to come back to why we shouldn't use Artemisias every day, is that Artemisia does contain a compound called sutone, and it can actually accumulate in your body, and some people can have quite a toxic effect from it. So Artemisia should never be used by somebody that is trying to get pregnant or already pregnant, or breastfeeding. You know, there's some normal herbal you know, precautions, but Artemisia specifically, and because it is so detoxing to our systems, I always recommend that you should take Artemisia for 2 weeks and then stop for 2 weeks, so that your body can just recover a little bit. And because the detoxing effect can be, and it can actually build up toxicity. So definitely with this plant, because it is a mighty plant, just do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Yeah. So
that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, thank you. Definitely. Yeah.
But then do, and then we can, in those 2 weeks, you can do other things with it, like have an essential oil or another ritual with it, or just plant it and love it, just appreciate it. You know, that's also
beautiful. Yeah. I know. I love it. I love that. You know, this is so Yellow Star, the creativity and the beauty of it. And yeah, let's have fun with plants. Hey, do you want? You told me a beautiful story, just to kind of end this session. You told me a beautiful story about when you went into the trees or the woods. I mean, it's not necessarily just about Artemisias now, but nature in general. I mean, it's just this thing about fun, and the elementals telling you to have more fun. Yes. You remember that's what you told me? Yeah. Do you want to? Should we end with that?
Absolutely, definitely. It is such a good story. No, we were doing a project where we were taking a lot of aliens out of the trees.
Let me just explain. Can I just interrupt and explain to people who are not South African that aliens are not humans?
Oh, sorry. I mean, what's another name for it?
Extraterrestrials, okay.
There's
not taking extraterrestrials out. I mean, there may have been a few, but we're talking about they are not indigenous, and they are not endemic or whatever you call it to the area.
And some of these
I just once told somebody about aliens, and her eyes were getting wider and wider, and I didn't click, and then I eventually. Anyway, so I just want to clarify what aliens are.
Yeah, so we had in this beautiful stand of willow trees in the river, we had a strangler fig growing into the trees and completely covering the trees. But I'm talking, and we started removing this vine, and we were working extremely hard with at it. And me and it was like 5 guys, and yeah, we're pulling vines, and we at it for days, and it's like tons of vines coming out. And then on the Friday before the guys showed up, I walked amongst the trees, and I always check with them. I said, "Are we still doing the right thing? Or should we carry on? Are we still doing it in the right way?" And they're like, "Yeah," I just get this like message. "Yeah, you're still doing the right thing, but you must have more fun doing it." You know, so even if you are performing a task that you're very serious about, you should have more fun. And so had the 5 guys arrive, and I said, "Okay, guys, we're going to go. And all the plants that we now take out of the trees, we're going to build fun things with it." And I said, "And I'm not going to micromanage. I'm going to leave. And then after a few hours, I'm going to come back and see how did that go." And people are a little bit astounded if you tell them that they have to have fun at work, you know. They're quite uncomfortable with it. in any case, but I assured them that this is definitely what I want from them, is to have fun. And so I came back later, and they took these vines and they built screens, like these rounded screens from it, and forms in the landscape, and they made little hobbit houses, and it immersed the most incredible like forest experience with all of these things that were done with the vines, and you could just feel that the feeling of it was just completely changed. Like we still did our task, but we did it in a way that was more honoring of the forest, and because the forest loves human experiences with joy and joy and appreciation and so on, and
that's the vibration,
my crew really enjoyed it.
I love it. How creative are you as this yellow star? But I just love this thing. You know, it's like fun is such a light vibration. It's such a high vibration, and it's such a contribution to the earth. And I love that reminder, you know, that, you know, we don't have to be serious about life or you know, think that has necessarily value as such. And it's really the fun. So yeah, you know, the fun for me is also the creativity. And that's what's my big passion. And I think the plants can really help us with, you know, when we become well on all levels, we can also become more creative. We have more energy, and, you know, we can be the creators and the co-creators with the earth and the universe that we truly are. So I love it. So thank you for being the biggest fun person to share and to give us this really valuable, you know, my passion is for this program, for people to just find some kind of, how should I say, inspiration. Because what is life about, you know, if we're not inspired? And we have many things that we can focus on that's not inspiring, but let's focus on the inspiration. And you know, there's so much inspiration with the earth and also the plant kingdom and the Artemisias. So thank you so much, Yvette. And we will have many conversations, I'm sure. But sending lots of love to you and the amazing work that you're doing. Thank you so much. The earth, there's such gratitude on all levels.
Thank
you.
So
love you lots, and blessings.
Thank you.
Bye.